Hello, beautiful people. It's Bonnie Gillespie here with you with there's just a couple of withs. Here with you with, for, about, yes, I'm here with you because we are going to do Self-Management for Actors, day 13 of your 20 days of free training for SMF May. We're taking SMFA, Self-Management for Actors, and celebrating the 20 years of my work advising with actors and other showbiz creatives and other creative storytellers not in showbiz. And we are going to be rocking it out today about cover letters. We're basically spending 20 days broadcasting over the course of May of 2019. And oh my goodness, what fun we are having. Please report in. Let me know where you're watching so that I can be sure that we are landing in all the places. If you are watching on Instagram Live, make sure that you come over to Facebook or Periscope or YouTube to participate in comments live, because I'm only seeing live comments in those three places. And if you're watching in replay, make sure you head over to the Facebook version of the replay where comments will remain open, and I will continue to do a pass by to answer any questions that you have as you are watching in replay, or any that I missed during the live. I'm not seeing any comments yet. Hopefully we are connected, and we are, John says, at Periscope, and Melissa says, yes, we are at Facebook, but a notification didn't come through. Good to know. Okay, well, technology, not always giving us everything that we need, and as I'm looking at Instagram Live, it says live, but I'm not seeing anything showing up there either. So you know what? Maybe we're just doing a version that's a couple of us hanging out, and then the replay will get watched more broadly. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We're still going to do the work. The work is here either way. Thank you for showing up. Melissa, I love that you're here, like seriously, every time. That makes me so happy. I love seeing actors take advantage of this free training series. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Awesome. Watching through Twitter, says Brie Alexandra. Awesome. Fabulous. Guys, today is all about the cover letter. Hopefully you printed out your SMFA hot sheet, SMFA, Self-Management for Actors hot sheet, on the bio and cover letter pre-flight checklist. This is what it's called over in the SMFA hot sheets. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go over to dojo.bonniegillespie.com and grab your free SMFA hot sheets. These are PDFs that we create and keep updated to keep your favorite business book for actors nice and updated, because once anything is published and printed, it is immediately falling out of date by the nature of printed publishing. That's how that works. So the way we keep it updated is we do free live quarterly calls, which you can sign up on the mailing list for those. Hang on, let me put that across my screen here. SMFA4.com. SMFA4.com will get you all signed up for quarterly calls, and you can get your free hot sheets, which we use as a way of keeping the book updated over at the dojo. Thank you, Kim from Team Cricket Feet over here. Team Bonnie Gillespie. We're not supposed to say Team Cricket Feet anymore, even though that's my company. We're supposed to say Team Bonnie Gillespie. So Kim is here throwing some links in at Facebook that you can follow if you would like to get linked to those directly. Otherwise, you can just type it all in yourself. Awesome. Great. So glad y'all are here. The reason we're using this checklist is because, well, first of all, it's a really good checklist to make sure that you're not committing some of the sins of the bio and cover letter. And as I mentioned yesterday, bios and cover letters that don't suck is our top seller at the Self-Management for Actors store, because it is incredibly challenging, even for me, to write a bio or a cover letter. Even if you are a fantastic writer, a bio or a cover letter, these are very specific tools with a very specific purpose, which makes writing for them a little more challenging. And one of the reasons in particular that I mentioned they have different purposes is that hopefully helps you get into a better understanding of exactly what it is that we're doing when we are working on a cover letter or a bio. We start from a place of, what is the purpose of this document? And so I would like you to make sure that you consider, when you are writing a cover letter, which is what we're doing today, that you ask yourself, what is the purpose of this sentence? What is the purpose of this line? What is the purpose of this word? What is the purpose of this paragraph? What is the purpose of this section, this bullet point list, whatever. Because if you're not asking yourself, what is the purpose of each of these things, you may find yourself writing in a way that feels like you're saying all the things you need to say in a cover letter, but ultimately isn't landing the way you think it will, because it's not conveying its purpose. It's only doing what you think a cover letter is supposed to do, which is list off all the things that are great about me, explain why this is an agent who should sign me, make sure they understand my credits, defend anything on my resume that doesn't make sense in context, all of these sorts of things. And what I really want you to instead frame for your cover letter is the cover letter's entire purpose is to get a meeting. Period. A cover letter's purpose is not to get repped. A cover letter's purpose is not to be signed. A cover letter's purpose is not to help you land the role. A cover letter's purpose is to get the meeting. Hopefully that takes a little bit of the pressure off, because I think aside from all the sins that we talked about yesterday that tend to make their way into bios, like all the cliches and just things that are meaningless in an actual marketing tool like a bio or cover letter, which we'll go over a couple of those again this episode as well. Aside from those basics, one of the biggest problems I see with actor cover letters, in particular actor cover letters, but any kind of cover letter really, is it doesn't come from a position of let's have enough in common to meet, and instead is trying to close the deal. Like it's thinking all the way down the line to like what you hope the relationship will be after the meeting. And I'm like, that's like saying you want to go on a first date to create grandchildren for your parents. You skipped a whole lot of steps. You want to go on that first date to see if you like each other. You want to go on that first date to see if there's chemistry. You want to go on that first date to see if there's potential. You want to go on that first date to see, should we spend more time together? And then there's a subsequent date. And then you start exploring, could there be a future even bigger than this second date? Could this actually be something? Is there a really cool thing happening here that then eventually could become, we're going to make this all official and create human life together? So like you see how many steps down the line that is though, right? Your cover letter is not about convincing anybody to sign you, to rep you, to even cast you. Your cover letter is simply a way to start the dating process. And because the meeting is where you then close the deal, we're going to cover meetings tomorrow. And I'm really excited about that, because taking the meeting and rocking the meeting and being confident about what you bring into a meeting, these are important elements to your overall approach as a showbiz creative or anybody who's going into any kind of meeting ever. Like knowing how to give good room is very important. So we're going to have a nice deep dive on that tomorrow. But when you realize that the work of your cover letter is not about closing the deal, it takes the pressure off some of the things that you might feel inclined to cram into it. You may at first feel like you have to shove every bit of information about why you should be signed and what's missing from your credits or where you're training or, like all sorts of details, referral, name drop, all of that, feeling like you have to put that into a cover letter because you're like, this is my only shot. And if instead your cover letter is written from a position of, I'm just going to drop some breadcrumbs here. I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about myself. And if this is intriguing to you and you like what you see and it looks to you like there may be something going on here, we'll meet. And then when we meet, we can do all the other stuff. And we treat that meeting as a separate entity because it is. But the cover letter's purpose is just to get you in the room. So with that in mind, we use that filter of what is the purpose of this line? What is the purpose of this sentence? What is the purpose of this bullet point list? What is the purpose of each item in this bullet point list? What is the purpose of dropping this name? What is the purpose of every bit of it? And then here is the most important mindset shift to make once you've gotten that part out of the way. Your cover letter is meant to explain the recipient's point of view about you. And I'll use more words because that's a weird concept. Most cover letters I've seen are written from a position of I am this kind of actor. I'm from this place. I've lived in this market for this long. I've booked this kind of work. I'm a member of these professional actors unions. I'm training at this studio. I have a demo reel available for you at this link. I have included my headshot and resume. I. Nothing in there about, hi, agent so-and-so. Here's what I know about you. Here's what my ninja research shows me you value. Here's what I understand about how you do your job and whom you choose to rep and why. Here's the picture that I've been able to create of who you are and what your values are based on the research that I've done or the referral that is introducing me to you at this point in time, or the acting coach who thinks we would be a good fit. I would love to find out if I'm right about how I am perceiving you. Because if I'm right, here are some things you might want to know about me. And I'm sure you can see why these things about me intersect so beautifully with these things about you. And if we got together and had a meeting to determine that, yeah, that actually does look like a really good fit, we could make lots of money together. I'm not saying use those words. I'm giving you the subtext. So when you go through and take a look at each line on your cover letter, those are the types of messages that you need to be sending across. But what I find most actors tend to do is they go grab a bunch of labels for dozens, if not hundreds, of agents and managers and use a one-size-fits-all cover letter that is a narcissistic list of all the things I have done, will do, am about, things you need to know about me. And that one-size-fits-all cover letter gets mass mailed to everybody you have a stinking label for. And you do this huge mailing that's not cheap, assuming you're doing snail mail. Of course, you can also do it over email, which takes the price down, but there's still a whole lot of energy that you send out at the moment of that mailing. And then you hear nothing back. And you go, what did I get wrong? Why does nobody want to meet me? Why didn't anybody respond to my submission? How did I fuck this up? I have great headshots. My credits are solid. I came with a referral. How am I not getting called in for a meeting? And it's because you did basic shit with that cover letter. You did nothing to customize the cover letter and make it an experience for that individual so that that individual feels as though, oh, wow, you get me. Not only do you get me, you get you. You, actor, you get me, the agent. You get you, the client I'm going to have to market to my buyers. And you do see that we, in fact, would be a good fit. And your materials stack up against what I would have on my client roster, which, of course, is why we do the targeting. If you skipped the targeting days, please go back to the episodes from about a week ago where we were covering targeting in several different episodes, and make sure you watch How to Get an Agent. Kim will put a link in the comments here at Facebook for the masterclass that I did on how to get an agent. This is a free 75-minute video that's at YouTube and Facebook and in a blog post at BonnieGillespie.com, and you need to watch that, and you need to watch it again, and you need to take notes. When you do the targeting work, writing a customized cover letter to that one recipient at a time from a place of, I know that when you see my materials, you're going to agree we're a good fit for each other. Makes all the difference. Because, of course, you've already done the research to determine that they're going to see dollar signs when they look at me. And what is the number one thing that agents look for in an actor? It's not talent. It's not a referral, although relationships are an important part of the overall. It's not a certain look, although your look certainly comes into play just as your talent does. Yes, all of those things are elements, but what is the one thing that agents are looking for when they look at actors that they're trying to consider to sign? Dollar signs. An agent wants to know, I'm going to make money if I put you on my roster. An agent or manager wants to know, you fit the criteria for breakdowns that I see coming out every single day. And specifically on projects being cast by casting directors in my web of trust. So if I'm the agent or the manager and you've done your research on targeting, you know my relationships. You can see from the number of my clients on my roster, if I'm an agent or a manager, you can see based on where they're booking and at what tier, where I have relationships. You can basically map out who my best source of work is. You can figure all of this out, you actor watching right now, writer watching right now, anybody who has buyers, which everybody has buyers. Everybody's got work where they need somebody to buy the work. You can do the research to determine what it is that people are responding to in this buyer pool that you are hoping to get attention from. So this goes from being, I need any kind of agent, to I need the agent who has active, healthy relationships in the casting offices where I most need to be seen, because if those buyers knew I existed, we could just print money together because I solve a problem for them every week on their show or every time this franchise gets another sequel. Like, these people are regular buyers of people like me, and they just need to know I exist. Great. That agent is going to see your tools that you have engineered to showcase how right fit you are for those buyers along that path to your true north. And they are going to agree when they look at your materials that you are the right fit for the relationships that they have. That's all the ninja work you've already done. But if the cover letter goes, Dear Sir, I'm an actor looking for representation. I moved to Los Angeles 6 months ago, and what a crazy 6 months it's been. Boy, that 405 freeway is really something, isn't it? Ha ha. Just kidding. I don't mind traffic. I always leave early, so I will always be on time to the auditions that you send me on, no matter where they happen. I do have a survival job, but it's very flexible, so I can always make auditions. And I have a fabulous self-tape studio at home, so I can also audition on tape if you're not able to get me in the room. I've enclosed my headshot and resume. You'll notice that I've trained at Blah Blah Studio, and I recently was in the film festival Darling Blah Blah indie film in a large supporting role. If you'd like to see the footage, my demo reel is available at link. I can also send it over in a DVD or a USB drive if you prefer. Just let me know. I'm so excited to sit down and meet with you to see if we would be a good fit for representation. My number is blah, blah, blah. I'll follow up in a week to see if we can set a meeting. Yours truly, random actor using a template downloaded from the fucking internet and filled in the blank Mad Lib style, non-ninja. Nanja. Non-ninja. Nanja. Yes. Why was that letter so easy for me to rattle off? Because I have seen it approximately 372 bajillion times. Did you hear anything in that letter about the buyer? About the stories you were born to tell and how often you know roles for you are in the breakdowns? How often you know target buyers that agent has relationships with are casting, that you know that agent in particular loves people who are trained at blah blah studio where you train, and that such and such person at that studio recommended this connection, and how awesome that is. Like, believe me, there's a lot that letter did right in terms of presentation, but there's so much more it could do without becoming a pelting, aggressive, and I'll follow up and call and set a meeting and all these little tricks and tactics that people like to talk about. Coming from a position of, hey, buyer, agent, I see you. I so get what kind of work you like from your actors. My tools measure up with those of the actors on your roster. And such casting office is one I have been in. I'd love to go in more, and I'm aware that you've got relationships there. Again, this is subtext. This is nothing that you're listing off. The words that you use to convey this need to be those breadcrumbs dropped down the path. So you don't overtly state, I stalked you on IMDb and followed you on all the social and set up Google alerts about you and learned some things. What you do is you take those things that you learned and write about where things intersect, what you have in common from the position of your values as a storyteller, knowing that the agent's going to see that and go, wow, that resonates for me. That so resonates for me. And that's what we want. We want, when that letter lands, for that agent to say, where have you been my whole life? This is a perfect parallel. Every day, every day. Someone says to me, oh my God, self-management for actors is so great. Where, Bonnie Gillespie, have you been my whole life? And I'm like, I've been laying down the breadcrumbs along the path that you finally took a look at and went, oh, hey, look at that. There's some cool shit. I'm going to follow this a little bit. And here we are. It happens organically over time. And that cover letter may not even result in you getting a meeting right away, but it is a brand builder, which is why it's so important that you put some work into it, that you avoid the cliches, you make it come from a position of how it serves the agent or manager to take time out of their schedule and sit with you to see if you're a good fit. Everything else is behind that in terms of priority. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Every one of our actors need to be following her and watching her videos, says Michelle. Yes, every actor needs to have this in physical copy, on Kindle, in audiobook, all of the above. I don't care, I ain't picky. Get the hot sheets, they're free. Sign up for the quarterly calls, they're free. Show up for these trainings, they're free. And if you want to dig deeper, remember we've got our 100-day live program starting up. Live round. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And all the information about how to apply for scholarships. Let me put this in before I forget, and then we're going to go to questions in the comments. BonnieGillespie.com/20 is the link to follow to get all the information about this live free training series that we're doing through the month of May, celebrating 20 years of this work. That's where I've been your whole life, doing this. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. But you can also apply for a scholarship. There's a link to the scholarship application page at this link here, BonnieGillespie.com/20. And I will be watching some of the videos that you've submitted this weekend, because I understand we have enough now that I need to start digging in and giving some feedback to my team about who's going to make it to the next round of consideration. But if you would like to join us for free, to join in our 100-day membership program that is, no joke, life-changing, because we do this kind of stuff every day for 100 days. No, it's not 100 days of tools. It's 100 days of tools and mindset and tactics all woven in with a lot of self-care, because when you're doing this much work on yourself and on your business, you need to invest in taking care of yourself, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of change all at once, and it's a lot of stuff that you want to build momentum for lasting a lifetime. You don't want to just have that awesome summer where you had the bikini body and then the rest of your life you're like, oh, I miss that bikini body. We want to get you in shape, and then we want to keep you in shape. And that's why we treat this like a gym membership. And so I would love it if you would join us. Please go ahead and feel free to enroll. We had several people join us yesterday. Awesome. Love it. Come on in and join us, and we'll get you access to the welcome page and some pre-day one homework that we would love for you to be able to start strong. Yes, yay for self-care, right? I know. All about the self-care. All about the self-care. Because if you are creating positive change in your life, it requires self-care. It requires that you really look after yourself so that those changes can take root. We also do a whole lot on relationship management and making sure that you're in good, healthy environments for growth to stick. So thank you. Yes, everybody go get your information on all of that at bonniegillespie.com/20. And I'm going to now look at some of the questions that have come in at the various platforms. All right. It's absolutely my pleasure. Periscope, thank you for saying thanks for clarifying the cover letter. Just like once you know its purpose, right? It makes so much difference. Tracy says this is gold. Thank you. Melissa says I was making this mistake years ago. Well, good. Thank yourself for no longer making those mistakes. That's that whole when you know better, you do better. April Wachter. Yeah, I love me some Wachters. When you know better, you do better. That is true a lot of places in our lives. There's some places where we know better and we still don't do better, and then we get mad at ourselves because we do know better and we didn't do better, and that's another conversation for another time. But for today, yes, hopefully you will be able to avoid the cliches and avoid the narcissistic cover letter and really come from a position of what does this line do? Oh, this line justifies something that's missing on my resume. This line apologizes for the quality of that scene on my demo reel. Like seriously, look at it line by line. And when you're like, oh my God, my cover letter comes across as defensive and weak and apologetic rather than, hey, I see you. You and I are going to make money together. It may not be today, but someday we are going to be in business together. And here's a little bit of what that would look like. Let me present myself to you in a way that makes it easy for you to present me to your buyers. So cover letter is a great place to include a log line. That's why we did log line a couple days ago. It's why we did bio yesterday, because we want to use from those tools some of the best words that we've got to really help people understand our brand and weave those into the cover letter so that the agent on the receiving end has words right there ready to use when they pitch you to casting. And then those same awesome words get used by casting when they pitch you to producers or investors or the network or the studio. All right, so quickly, I will go over a couple of the never-nevers. And then Tracy, yes, I will come back and answer your question next. Thank you so much. And any other questions, get them in real quick, because then I'm going to try and close at the half hour. Yesterday went way over, and I really want to respect everybody's time because I know you're taking time out of your day to join me for these things, and I want to keep the lessons bite-sized. It's really challenging for me because I can talk about this shit forever. Because I do. That's my job. All right. Everything should feel like you, sound like you, be on brand, right? Should highlight where you and the buyer intersect, right? That means you have to include the individual buyer and their starting point and where they want to go in your letter. If it's only written from the position of, here's what I provide, and you hope that they're able to draw that connection, it feels like a one-size-fits-all cover letter, and it's not going to help you. You need to be specific without being too long. You can always go shorter with cover letters. Nobody's ever read a cover letter and said, oh, I wish this were longer. Never. It's never happened. Nobody's watched a demo reel and said, oh, I wish this were longer. Never. Nobody's watched an actor do a monologue and say, oh, please, 20 more minutes of that. It just doesn't happen. So keep that in mind. Oh, what was it? Yesterday on Twitter, Lori Records, commercial casting director, tweeted that she watched an actor's demo reel for 3 seconds. And she wanted to put that out there because she's like, I want to make sure that you know. Sometimes every question I have can get answered that quickly, and so there's no reason to keep watching. And so your work is to discover what questions are we asking and make sure that you are getting those questions answered in the positive with all your marketing tools. And so in a way, it's really great for the actor who's like, oh, you only watched my reel for 3 seconds. It's good that she knew you don't solve my problem right now and she's looking for someone for a specific role. She doesn't need to keep watching that reel. She already got her question answered. So closing that off is no waste of time for her, and it's actually good news for you because it means that she gets you and knows you're not that. And if you're like, but I was that in my 4th scene, well, then go back and rewatch Demo Reel Day because you need to change the order of your operations to align with your next tier buyers for your goals. Or have different footage for different submissions for different reasons. We've talked about all of this. See how it's all coming together? See how it's all coming together? It's beautiful, right? Show where you're headed more than where you've been. Because yes, your history is a foundation, but it's not like a list. You're also on your cover letter not running a list of all your credits. You got your resume for that. The cliches to make sure we never use. From the tender age of, literally since birth, born to act, the stage was calling, received glowing reviews, all the things we talked about yesterday on Bio Day. Also, please make sure you're spelling principal correctly. It's the version with an A. Please make sure you're spelling premier correctly, which has extra E at the end, not the one without. And if for some reason you use the word woe in your materials, please spell woe correctly. It's WHOA. If you spell it the wrong way, it rhymes with Noah. It's WOA. So don't do that. You kill a little bit of Joey Lawrence every time you misspell whoa. Okay, so just that's my PSA for you. But principal with an A is the biggie that I see people getting wrong in their acting materials. Because we were taught in school, principal with an A is the principal of the school. And so we think all other principal has to be LE. Fiction. Principal AL is the adjective version of the words. And when you start principal photography, when you are a principal role, that is an adjective. Therefore, A, adjective. Super easy to remember. Please don't ever get that wrong again. Okay. Make sure you're not too cutesy or too formal, but that you are on brand. Make sure you include contact information. I've seen so many cover letters that have no contact information. Make sure if you're sending a PDF or any attachments with an email that you do so with respect for the person on the receiving end. Best if you can give us a link that is to a place that's safe and we can click and we recognize like, oh, that URL is not taking me to anywhere scary. It's a place out on the internet, at your casting sites, at your online profile, at your IMDb page, things that we know and expect what's going to happen there. But if you do include an attachment, make sure your file name is labeled smartly. So it's BonnieGillespieResume.pdf, and it's not a Word doc, and it's not, my basic resume edited for that jackass doc. Not that you would have put that out there, but just the file names baffle me sometimes. And also be sure you're respecting the policy of the recipient. If I'm an agent and on my website it says no phone calls, don't call. And if it says fill out this form to submit, no mail, don't mail. Because you don't impress us by ignoring rules that we put out for how we would like things done. Follow those rules, and then we'll ask you to be the exception when we're like, I know it says on my website, don't email attachments, but I got your form. Thank you for filling out the form on my website. I like what I see here. Could you send me a couple of attachments, XYZ? Let it be like that. That's way, way, way better. I would say your material needs to include a link to one place that you want us to go, and then trust that place to cover everything else. Rather than here's a link to my demo reel, here's a link to my headshot, here's a link to my resume, here's a link to reviews. Like that's a lot. Send us to one place and then make it easy for us to navigate around from there. Go back to the web presence day of the free training if you need a refresher on any of that. And what else? The same tip I ended with yesterday. Read your cover letter aloud. Read it to a friend. Put it out in a self-tape. I'm reading it to camera. Upload in the SMFA Ninjas Facebook group. Get feedback on it. Most of what's wrong with a cover letter or a bio or anything else that we put in writing is that we've never read it aloud and actually listened to how it sounds. And since as we're reading, we are hearing it in our head, for the most part, that means you need to make sure that it sounds right. This is a really great way to double check also for typos. You wiped the damn cliches. Darn, Patricia, wiped the darn cliches out yesterday. How did you know? I know, because you're doing the work, and I so appreciate that. Jennifer, thank you for your endorsement of the 100 days. It is badass. The 100 days are badass. I fall more in love with the 100 days every time we do a new live round or have a new bunch of people join at the same time, because I go through each day as well and just make sure that all the links are still working, and my team and I are in there making sure if there's anything we need to update, that we take advantage of that group that's coming in together to get ahead of y'all and make sure everything's looking its best and just keeping everything nice and fresh, and all the latest information, obviously. And I fall back in love with that program regularly. It's got so much impact. All right, we're going to close on Tracy's question from Facebook. Would you follow this system for general audition thank you notes as well? Let's talk about that. First of all, do you even need to do a thank you note for an audition? Depends on your brand. If your brand is I write a thank you note for you letting me go first at the four-way stop. If your brand is all about a thank you note, yes, do it. And then have a regular system that works for you. If you're not a thank you note kind of person, it's going to read as false when you send a thank you note. I've received thank you notes that I'm like, this is painful. This is a painful fucking thank you note. I don't like it. You didn't like writing it. It is not helping me think better of you. It is just making me think you're following somebody's little fill in the blank, Mad Libs, template, business model. And that's some bullshit. That does not work. The reason it is called self-management for actors. That word right there, self. It's going to be different for every person. Every person is going to have their unique experience in this business and in life. And it has got to be tailored to yourself. So if it is authentic and genuine for you to send a thank you note, do it. As far as following the formula of it, a thank you note is much more about just expressing gratitude for having had that encounter, which is why sending thank you notes for an audition can be a little strange. Because if you are sending a thank you note for every pre-read or even a taped audition or things like that, it can look on the side of the buyers like you don't audition often enough. Because if you're auditioning like a busy working actor, you got no time to send thank you notes for every pre-read. For a callback, I love a thank you note, especially if I'm doing callbacks and only bringing 5 people. I like a thank you note because everybody got a lot of time in the room, and we worked on a lot of stuff with people in those callback sessions to determine who's the right fit. And we probably did some chemistry mix and match. And dang it, if I'm not going over again, I just need to call these things 45 minutes because I get too excited. There's just too much to cover. But we're about to end. All right. Thank you guys for sticking with me on a Saturday. I want you to consider that the thank you note is a great idea if what you feel is gratitude. And now it doesn't have to be so much about here's you and here's how we intersect. It's if you had a meeting with an agent, sending a follow-up thank you note for just, that was great. Even though I'm not going to be repped by you right now, I had such a great time getting to know you and how your office works. And I'm going to add a couple credits and be back in your inbox next season. And that's a great way of saying it didn't throw me off that you don't want to sign me right this second. Because I know that we're both in this for the long haul, and now I see what's missing between where I stand and where I would need to stand in order to be on your roster, and I'm going to go fill in that work, and then I'll be back, and then you'll sign me. Yeah, I like the idea of it being callbacks only, Miss Bradley. I do. Yes, Miss Manners said always thank you notes. Right, I get that, but Miss Manners probably wasn't talking to actors, because actors writing a thank you note for every audition, oh my God, that would be like writing a thank you note to your boss every day that you went to your job. You have a job. Part of your job is auditioning. It's not the same. These are not job interviews. This is every time you're going to work. That's what an audition is. And so if you have to write a thank you note because you got invited to go to work, it also really makes the power structure kind of weird. And if I cast you, you are helping me. You solved a problem for me. And you make me look like a badass in front of my boss on the project that I was hired to cast. Why are you thanking me? I mean, sure, if I cast you in a role that got you your union eligibility or gave you a tier jump, or I brought you in totally against type because I so knew you could nail it, and then we were right and we changed their minds and you knew what a big deal it was to even get that opportunity, you could send me something nice. Yes, of course. But better yet, win an award and thank me when you're holding up something gold and shiny. Thank those early casting directors that got you those benchmarks, that union eligibility, that tier jump, that first big booking, those people who believed in you at the very beginning, that momentum that really, really started to kick in and make a difference at a time when it wasn't popular to invest in you. That's the kind of thing that I would prep for, is being grateful when you're in positions of power and thinking about your power agent, your publicist, and your handlers and all the people at the studio. Remember those people who invested in you early on. That's where I really want that thank you. You bet. You bet. All right, you beautiful people. Good work. I will circle back around to the comments on Facebook and answer any lingering questions. I'm doing that in previous days as well, so just be patient with me, because now that we have a whole bunch of days of broadcast up in replay at Facebook and YouTube, I've got a lot of questions coming in, and we have a lot of people registering for the 100 days, and I'm, of course, welcoming everybody on and into the dojo and getting everybody settled with their username and password and day one homework and all the logistics on this end of things. So thank you for your patience. You're absolutely welcome, Tracy. My pleasure. Melissa, absolutely no thank you note on self-tapes. No, absolutely no. No, because you don't even know if it got watched. And if you're like, oh, well, I put a tracker on it and I did see that it got watched. It doesn't matter. Like, that's just, no, that says I am so desperate for any opportunity to act that I have to thank anyone who ever gives me an opportunity to act. And the power dynamic's off. So, no, I would not do that. April, absolutely my pleasure, sweetheart. Thank you, Daniel, for being here. I will be back tomorrow, and we are going to do Rock the Meeting. This is a good one. They're all good ones. What am I talking about? Thank you so much for joining me for SMFMA. Again, more information awaits you at BonnieGillespie.com/20. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say? Stay ninja. Bye. Thank you for joining me. You beautiful people.